Try that again. What he's unhooking for whatever reason. Something happened. Man, like that windsock's not moving. That one's coming towards me. That one's going 45 that way. I just don't know what's actually going on here. Wind is weird, bro. And I got a wrap over here on the brake. Fuck it. I mean, I knew the wind was weird driving out here. Like, it's gusty and switchy, but man, let me tell you, I don't remember the last time I've had that much of a problem launching. Anyway, especially this one though. Just kept wanting to like go back and forth on me. That one, I didn't check it. It overshot me a little, and it went to the right. I brought it back with brake. Then took a collapse on the left. Waited for that to come back. Like, ah, man. But seems like our production drive is actually working. I'm not sure what happened with Sean. It's kind of weird. He was like set up, and then he gave a little bit of throttle, or like was holding his feet on the ground, and just like messed up the layout for the wing. Sure what was up with that. Yeah, and it's confusing when you've got like 5 or 6 windsocks to look at, and all of them are saying something different. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of trees and like kind of rotary stuff going on here, but like the way the wind is coming, it's like almost best case scenario for his field. So I don't know. But the thing, everyone messes up launches. It bugs me when I do. Like, it irks me, but it is what it is, man. Like, everyone's gonna do it. It's gonna happen. That is violent. It pulls the ear cups off my ears, rips the microphone away from my mouth. Out of control, man. Out of control. buffeting, buffeting, buffeting. Oh man. Come on, just send it, Sean. Come on, buddy. Gas it up. Got it. Not sure what. Maybe it's just waiting for something. A wind cycle or what? There you go. There it is. Easy. It did turn him a little bit to the right, but not bad. Not bad. Yeah, man. Like, the windsock right here below us is going that way. That one's going that way. That one's going that way. And this one's flapping. It's not even like consistent. That one is going straight that way. Oh, now it just turned this way actually. It's just all over the place, man. Like, it's just not consistent at all. Alright. So, I've had some experience flying with people that have drift airs, and I've found that they're not super fast. They're not like dreadfully slow, but they're not very fast. So, oh whoops, too far on that one. So I think I'm gonna trim neutral. And that should be about where we're gonna match up with old Cherry Fly when he's trimmed out, I think. That should be the ticket. Oh man. So yeah, this is my first flight in 2 weeks. Because I kept destroying stuff. Not necessarily flying per se. So I'll go ahead and tell you the story. So I came out and did a flight yeah, just over 2 weeks ago with my buddy Carl. I think it was like, yeah, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And when I landed, I noticed that there was kind of a scraping noise coming from my clutch. I don't know if I actually shared the story on my channel, but when I was at Bad Apples, I had a clutch fail with only about, I think, like 55 hours on the motor. So 2 of the 3 clutch plates detached from the clutch assembly, and one of them went like cockeyed out of the drum, engaged the drum and engaged the actually hit up against the case of the motor. So it scratched up the motor a bit, and then that basically locked up the motor, shut the motor down. So luckily everything went okay with that. I was able to find a used clutch because no one had a new one. I got everything back together and we did a few more flights while I was there. So, you know, Bad Apples, I don't even remember when Bad Apples was. Is it like April? Whenever it is. I mean, now it's middle of October. So I've been running the used clutch that I actually got from Ripa since then, and it took a couple months to get my warranty clutch in from Viterazzi, and they also sent me a drum under warranty because the old one had some grooves and just kind of weird things in it. So fast forward, 3 weeks ago I did a flight and had an issue. Yeah, I'm running away from Cherry Fly and they're running away from me. So yeah, I had an issue with like a scraping noise as I spun the prop. It went ching 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 ching. And you can hear that. In like the same exact spot when the clutch was facing a certain direction every time. So I pulled the clutch apart expecting to find, you know, more or less what I found last time. everything looked okay. There were some like little scrape marks on the drums. Like you have like the outer rotational part of the drum, and then you got the part of the drum that has the pulley, and the scrape marks were on this face on the inside. So I'm not really sure if like maybe just a piece of clutch material got in there and kind of spun around and was making that noise, and then when I took it apart it fell out or whatever. I mean, there was a lot of dust and stuff in there, but either way, I had the new clutch, had the new drum, so I threw that in and went for my first flight since doing that. And of course my camera wasn't working. I've had issues with this GoPro Hero 11 lately. So anyway, I went to go launch. I made it about 10 feet off the ground and the motor started bogging, and I wasn't really sure why. So at that point, like, I mean, you saw the field that we fly from, so I took off from the front edge. I probably lifted off, 10, 15 steps in. I was just about to get over the fence line on the back of that field when the motor started bogging. So I stayed in it because I needed to get more altitude in order to circle around and make a landing. Luckily there was no wind on this day, and so I started circling around, and the engine was just losing more and more and more RPM, and I'm like, man, this ain't good. And it went from 8,900 as my full throttle. I was probably down around, like, I wasn't gaining altitude. I was about this RPM. So I mean, this is 57. So I was 5,700 RPM full throttle. So as I'm turning and coming back to the field, it's still dropping even a little more. And I had the field made, so I wanted to come off the throttle for a second and just see what happened. It immediately went straight to idle, and it wouldn't come above idle again. Just like locked up. I mean, obviously the motor's still running, but so at that point I could also, during this, I could smell what smelled like clutch. So I wasn't really sure what happened. I landed. Everyone's like, "Oh, your motor's smoking." Yep. Come to find out, what I did is I clocked my tensioner pulley / driven pulley backwards. So whenever you tension it, obviously that pulley's on a cam. So you want the pulley to be mounted to the right side and be camming up to the left to tension. I did it the opposite way. So as soon as the motor put a bunch of torque on it, it was pulling, and it's pulling in the direction where it's got a mechanical advantage to loosen that bolt. It was a stupid mistake on my part. So basically what happens when you do that is those two pulleys are forced together. Best case scenario, your clutch just slips. I think that's what mine, well, I don't know. I know at some point the clutch was slipping, I could hear it, but, I mean not the clutch, the belt was slipping. So best case scenario, that's what happens. However, mine was a little worse off than that, and basically when it loosened up the pulleys and the belt tension, the belt walked its way outward towards the outer groove on that pulley, which then forced the pulleys closer together to where they were touching, and those pulleys are counter-rotating. So they basically just ground into each other and melted the pulleys to each other almost. With like molten metal on the pulleys of where they were rubbing together, and they got so hot it actually melted the cap that goes over that lower pulley, the center of the drum. It melted that cap out. Everything was smoking hot, destroyed my belt, destroyed the brand new pulley or drum assembly that I put on there, destroyed my pulley. So the drum assembly, not in stock, couldn't find it. So I ended up getting a new pulley, but not the actual cam assembly with the bearings, because mine was still good. Well, then I made another mistake in that I heated up that pulley. I pressed out the bearings out of the old one, I heated up the new one, went to go push them in, and they wanted to kind of wiggle back and forth, so I was trying to like work it back and forth, and by the time I got it down to where the second bearing was flush, it didn't want to go anymore. And like, it was taking some wax, and I ended up grabbing the I have a hydraulic press. I ended up using the press to try and press the bearing down in, and destroyed the pulley in multiple places, multiple ways, and put a flat spot in one or more of my bearings for that cam assembly. So at that point I was pissed. I ordered the entire tensioner pulley assembly. I still couldn't get a new drum, unfortunately, so I ended up cleaning up the weird little groove that was on my old drum assembly, and just did my best to, like, I ended up, that pulley actually had like a little bit of a flat spotted bearing too. I don't know why, but so I ended up pressing that bearing out, pressing a bearing from the brand new pulley that I just, or drum, sorry, the brand new drum that I just toasted. I pressed the pulley, or I pressed the bearing from the brand new drum that I toasted back into the old drum that I was kind of fixing up, and yeah, put everything back together today, made sure everything was torqued exactly to spec, and lo and behold, here we are, first flight since that. So yeah, it's been almost 3 weeks. That my last actual flight was, I mean, I guess you could consider my 22nd flight a flight, but not really. But that was 2 weeks ago. The flight that I actually had that I heard the ticking noise was almost 3 weeks ago. So it feels good to be back in the air, albeit on a slightly trashy day, but that's cool. It's all good. So, I'm curious. Man, this thing builds so much freaking energy, and especially like I'm trip neutral right now, so it's building so much more. This wing is like, it's an absolute energy monster. Crossover. I'm not sure. Yeah, Sean's on this side, so that's good. Is it going to be facing perfectly away from us when we go by it? Maybe give it a little kick? Oh yeah. Woo! I'm not going to give it a kick, but man, I was looking for Sean, and then I see him zip by in the opposite direction. Crazy how quickly they turn these fields over. Like, these fields go from little wispy grass to perfectly beautiful dirt to sand to crops in like a month. Some random corn poking up. I mean, that's old stuff they didn't get out. I think that was their last crop. I don't know what this crop is, if I'm honest, but I know what that crop is. Solar. Look at this one. Oh, trashy right there. Woo! Real trashy. Real trashy. My goodness. Just rotor off all that, I guess, huh? Woo-wee. That got real trashy real fast. Alright, we're gonna climb up over this one. Shoot, buddy. Big hawk or something. Aside from the obvious of like, you know, the weather being so dependent on you being able to fly and all that. The one thing that I like, don't always like about this sport is the fact that I sometimes feel bad for scaring some animals or like, you know, frightening them. I mean, obviously they're not actually in any kind of harm, but sometimes I feel a little bad. See if we can get a foot drag. Ooh, this is hard. Man, that is not soft dirt. It's like kicking my foot back hard. It's like when sand gets wet and then it dries out and it's like got a crust on the surface of it. It would appear Sean is fully trimmed out. He wouldn't be catching me like he is, passing me like he is, unless he was trimmed out. Jerry Fly's hanging pretty good though, so that's good. We're down here out of the wind, he's up there, and it's kind of a tailwind in this direction, so. Whew. Trashy. Of course, it's supposed to calm down like right around sunset, but we ain't there yet, so. Hard to tell if there's power lines across that gap or not, but just gonna coast on down. I don't know what's up with this big old hole over here. They're trying to fill it in though, it would appear. Chucking all the trees and stuff that they cleared out of this field into that hole. I mean, it's good fill if you were gonna chuck it anyway. Wonder what's gonna happen to this field. I doubt it's gonna become a neighborhood. It's too far out here. They haven't gotten to this point yet in colonizing, but it obviously used to be just kind of like just rough foresty kind of land. Ain't gonna be that anymore. Yeah, it's been a little while since I posted a video, and even then, like, all the videos that I post aren't brand new. I don't post them, you know, the day I fly, but I might just make like a live post video, you know, like a fresh post this video up. We'll see. But yeah, so moral of the story with this whole issue that I had with the clutch, drum, pulley, all that. I still have the clutch that Ripa gave me as a backup because it still looks okay. I mean, there are some like light scratch marks on that same surface where it was like meeting with the drum. But I still have the new clutch in here now with that old drum that was making the noise, and it's not doing it anymore. So that's what leads me to believe that it's probably related to like some material or, you know, something foreign getting in there. But anyway, so the first pulley assembly cost me $100 plus a belt. That cost me $60. So $160 plus shipping. Only prop ship free at Sky Sports. But that's right, they always take good care of me, answer my questions, help me out. So I always give my business. I encourage you guys to do the same. But so yeah, anyway, then I had to order the entire pulley assembly with the bearings and I can't remember what they call it. It's like a cam, but whatever they call it, it's the tensioning assembly or whatever. So that was $150 something plus shipping, tax obviously. I think that ended up being another like $160. And then I obviously had a brand new drum that got ruined, which I didn't pay for. It was warranty, but I like to have spares of like all this stuff, and it's not even available, so I couldn't have a spare for it if I wanted to. But I never really thought I would need a spare of the driven pulley, the big tensioner pulley, but go figure. That was a part I just never really foresaw having an issue with. But it does concern me a bit that the old drum, that bearing has like a flat spot in it after only, well, I think right now I'm around 71 hours. So I don't know what caused that. But that's something that I really don't want to pull off the entire clutch assembly to inspect it all the time, you know, but at the same time, like, it probably is a good idea to like get in there and open it up, make some brake parts cleaner, and like get rid of all the clutch material and stuff that's building up in there. I mean, that would probably be beneficial. So I don't know. I know a lot of people that err on the side of like, hey, if it's running, I just leave it alone. And I get it. Like, but you know, when I hear a noise, when I see something that I know is not right, I tend to just want to fix it, want to get ahead of it. And not to mention, like, an older motor that I had, I got it used, but within like, you know, 15, 20 hours of me getting it, it was at that 100-hour mark, ready for a refresh. And I think according to Viterazzi, you don't need a piston at 100 hours, but they recommend a ring. But when I measured the piston, it was way undersized. So I threw a fresh piston in there. The cylinder wall still looked good, like still had cross hatching. I didn't see any vertical scarring or anything. I mean, there were no real signs of damage in that way, but so yeah, I prefer to stay on top of that kind of stuff. And obviously, if you're out here and a bearing seizes up in your reduction drive, like, that's it. You're done. So that might be something that in the future I inspect regularly. Rather it's every 50 hours, 100 hours. I mean, if I'm gonna go through the hassle of, you know, pulling the piston, replacing the ring, replacing the gasket, all that stuff, why not just yank the clutch off too, you know? The belt seemed to last pretty well, but I had a spare belt. I put the spare belt on, and then I ordered a new belt to replace the one that I destroyed, so I still have a spare belt, so that's good. And yeah, I mean, I keep all like the basic parts except the prop. That's the only thing that I want to have that I don't, and now a drum assembly. But I have a full carb rebuild kit. I have, since I have the factory R, I have the carbon fiber tank, so I'm not really too concerned about the airbox. I mean, the carbon fiber airbox. I'm not worried about a cracked airbox or anything. But yeah, so I'd like to have a spare prop on hand, a spare spark plug, full carb rebuild kit, a spare clutch, spare belt, spare drum assembly, a spare exhaust bushing kit. I like to have all that stuff on hand. And there's probably a couple other things that I should. Like I have a spare throttle, my old one, so in case I ever did have an issue, you know, maybe I biff it, break this one, at least I'll have a spare throttle. But yeah. And obviously you've got like standard repair stuff for the wing. If you botch a line, obviously you're going to be relying on someone else. And you're going to need to get the line replaced, and every one is a different length, so unless you got a full line set. But, you know, you got repair tape for any holes or little tears. But yeah, if you guys have anything specific that you keep in, like, your spare parts go box is what I call mine. It's like an industry term for my, you know, my work is a go box. So that's my go box for the paramotor. Anytime I'm not just going to my local field here at Carl's, if I'm going to any kind of fly-in, if I'm going to a field that's kind of far away, I want to make sure that if anything minor goes wrong, I can fix it and still get in the air while I'm there, you know? I also, obviously, in that go box, I also have a full set of tools for anything that I would need to do on this. I've got a pulley, a pulley remover, pulley puller, whatever you want to call it, to get the clutch, to get that drum assembly off the clutch, the 22mm socket to get the clutch off. I don't have a piston stopper, but I use like a paracord. I jam a crap ton of paracord into the cylinder, and then as the cylinder comes up, eventually it can't go any further, so that works as a piston stop. You know, full set of Allen wrenches, full set of sockets. I always have, you know, a 7-piece screwdriver set with me, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, like, let me know if there's anything that you guys keep on hand that I didn't mention. Maybe there's something I should be bringing with me that I'm not. Beautiful night. It is supposed to get a little chilly. It's starting to cool off already. I think it said by 7 or 8 it was supposed to be in this mid to low 60s. So for t-shirt, that's a little cold, but I took off with 8 liters today, 6:30. So we've got, I don't even know what time the sun sets anymore, if I'm honest. I think it sets around 7:15. So we got 45 minutes-ish till the sun sets. But I'm gonna go around this development here, and because I'm gonna take the long way, I'm gonna speed up a little bit more. Fully trimmed out. You can see Sean and Scott kind of took off a little bit, got ahead of everyone. Carl's way over there for some reason. But yeah, Jerry Fly on the drift air is falling behind a little bit, but not too bad. It's keeping up better than, I think his is a 20 though. One of our other friends, Noah, has a 22, and either A, he just doesn't trim it out when he flies with us all that much, or it's, you know, the additional size just makes it a little bit slower, you know. But is that a fire? It looks like a fire, but it looks so stationary. Like, I don't know how it would be a fire. It's not moving. But it looks like, yeah, it is. Just far enough away you couldn't see it moving. It was just like this dull orange glow that was just perfectly static and unmoving. But trim in. We're gonna go to a quarter. Leave it a little out because most of these guys tend to leave their trims out fast as hell, so I won't lose as much ground. But we should have a tailwind going this way, which would mean we would be getting rotor off of those trees over there. But I don't know. We'll find out. See if it's calmed down at all. Doesn't feel like it. Doesn't feel like it. Some deer. Don't go off the cliff, deer. I mean, obviously they probably go down there all the time, but feel bad driving them off the cliff. Sean's wing and Carl's wing look similar enough, it's hard to tell them apart from, like, when you're not looking at the top of their wing. Like, if you just get like a side or a front profile or something, it's not super easy to tell who's who. Orange and red, when you're not looking at them straight on. Oh man, we're gonna have a bird strike? Wow, look at all the birds. That's cool. They all just like split in front of us. Like parting the Red Sea. Hello, birds. She's bumpy over here. I'm begging. The song was on the radio when I was on my way in there. Stuck in my head now. By like Main Skin, I think the name of the band is. It's kind of a weird name for a band, but whatever, to each your own. See if we can. Oh man, it's bumpy. Gonna try to get some foot draggy action down this little road, but not sure I want to with how bumpy it is. Kind of built a little road there. I don't remember that being there. Remember that being there. Of course it could have been and I just didn't remember, but you know what? There's Scott. breaking through the trees. I don't know if I want to split this today. I think I'm just gonna go on top. There's Scott's down there on the downwind side on a warp, so if he's doing alright, can't be that bad. That warp is definitely more active than this Falcon is, for sure. We gotta take the obligatory crossover here. Pop by the in-laws. I don't know if they're home, but doesn't entirely look like it. Only one truck here, so chances are they're not home, or at least there's where his new building is. Nice. Sorry, chickens. Not too long, about a month, this motocross track and all the fields around it are going to be freaking packed. Gator back. I've kind of raced on a small portion of this track, but never actually raced the whole track or done a race here. But I did a race on the property that went all through the woods, the hare scramble. Pretty cool place though. Yeah. Hit out the start. Hard left there. I guess that's if you take this track, which I think this is the main track. This track doesn't ever seem to be maintained most of the time outside of when they're doing whatever this race is called, I don't remember. Yeah. Down around there, jump back up, another step up, to another step up. Big step down, swoop around there, around here, over here, zigzagging back and forth around there, over there. Yep. And back around the lake, or sinkhole more like. Lake is a stretch. Woo! With old buddy Scott. Flying into the sunset. So, I think I'm gonna trim out. Oh, come on, get off of there. So we can make a little progress on some folks. We'll probably just catch up to Jerry Fly. Alright, we're back to the field. Scott's down there barrel rolling. Carl's down. Sean's down. Man, it won't be cold. It's cold up here, that's for sure. It's going to be even colder when I start doing wingovers and maybe a barrel. Already got 3 in today, but we might do more. We'll see. See how it feels. Man, let me tell you, this wing gains so much more like speed energy than the car. It's not quite as fast rolling, but whoo, the amount of speed that you pick up. Like the car, if you don't lose a whole lot of altitude doing any of this kind of stuff, but well, let me tell you, you do on this, you get going, feels like 80 miles an hour when you're facing the ground. That's what it feels like. Follow old Jerry Fly and see how his landing goes, and then we'll swing around. There you go. I think you biffed it. I think you biffed it. Man, it's getting... sun's not quite down yet, but it's getting dark, and I'm going to take my sunglasses off so that my depth perception's a little better. There ain't much to write home about in the way of wind. We're just going to come in over Scott's truck. Oh yeah, gotta have some legs under you for that one. Man, it came in screaming hot. Shoo! Man, that was a sprint. Yeah.